Roger Bushell was born in South Africa to English parents in 1910. Educated at Wellington College, he then went on to Cambridge to study law, eventually becoming a barrister. He also excelled at sport, notably cricket, rugby, and downhill skiing. He wanted to learn to fly and in 1932 joined 601 Squadron Auxiliary Air Force. This was also known as the Millionaire Squadron, as its officers tended to be very well heeled. Indeed, most of them owned their own aircraft or very expensive sports cars. These aircraft and cars would usually accompany their owners on the 601 Squadron summer camp, often held at Lymm in Kent. A fellow squadron officer was Max Aitken, son of Baron Beaverbrook. Aitken owned an Aeronca C3, which he kept in the 601 Squadron hangar at Hendon. Aitken enjoyed tearing about in the Aeronca and got up to all manner of hijinks with his friend Bushell. Here we see Bushell holding 2 flour bombs and a toilet roll, doubtless heading out on a bombing mission. On the evening of 15th August 1936, a group of cars and aircraft made the short journey from Lymm down to the pub at Botolph Bridge. Bushell flew down solo in Aitken's Aeronca. Bushell determined to get to the pub first. It was only a short flight, but he landed over the other aircraft that were taxiing down the field. The Aeronca is a notorious floater, and the inevitable happened. The Aeronca demolished a fence, a lamp post, and the To Dymchurch signboard, and lay wrecked in the road outside the pub. Ever the showman, Bushell stepped unscathed from the wreckage, bowed to Aitken and apologised, and immediately began to auction off the remains of the aircraft. Anne Davis, who with her husband Bill ran the Cinque Ports Flying Club at Lymm, paid £5 for the wrecked aircraft. She also wrote a poem for Max and Roger. Gone is Max's aeroplane, artful Roger is to blame. Down at Botolph's Bridge one night, 0 was his cruising height, zoomed too low, out went the light. The engine and other parts of the Aeronca were incorporated into the prototype Curry Watt, built by Joe Curry, chief engineer of the Cinque Ports Flying Club. By the outbreak of the Second World War, Roger Bushell was Squadron Leader, in charge of 92 Squadron. They converted onto the Spitfire in the spring of 1940, but on the 23rd of May 1940, on their first operational sortie, Roger Bushell was shot down. Initially he thought he had landed in Allied territory, but it wasn't, and he was soon taken prisoner. Bushell managed to escape from captivity 3 times, and it's his last escape which is best remembered. An audacious plan to break out 250 men via 3 tunnels from Stalag Luft 3. On the night of the breakout, things didn't go entirely to plan, and only 76 managed to escape before the alarm was raised. Of the 73 who were recaptured, 50, including Roger Bushell, were murdered by the Gestapo. In 1968, the film The Great Escape was made, with Richard Attenborough portraying a thinly disguised Bushell as Roger Bartlett. Not all of the film is an accurate portrayal, far from it, but the moment of Bushell's capture is indeed correct. A suspicious Gestapo officer wished Bushell good luck in English as he boarded a bus, and Bushell's response gave him away. I've known the story about Roger Bushell wrecking the Aeronca at Botolph's Bridge for decades. It's a wonderfully funny story, but all Roger Bushell stories tend to be overshadowed by what happened after the Great Escape. I could have recreated this story without ever leaving my desk, but somehow that would have been wrong. It was far better told by taking the Aeronca on a 12-hour round trip from Cornwall up to Kent and back. Suitable transport, of course, the Aeronca being an ex-Lymm machine. I flew over the old aerodrome at Lymm, now an industrial park, although some of it returning to nature and farmland, and over the pub at Botolph Bridge, which happily is still a lovely country pub. The nearer of the two ploughed fields is the field that Roger was trying to land in when he crashed. For many years afterwards, the To Dim Church road sign was held in the 601 Squadron mess, where it was proudly displayed. Also, the aircraft propeller was on display at the Botolph Bridge Inn for many years, but sadly has now gone missing. Thank you for watching. This film is dedicated to the 50 victims of the Stalag Luft 3 murder.